Welcome to the lesson, Expansion of Unit Fractions. We believe that this is one of the most important lessons in the topic of fractions. This creates the foundation for many other topics, comparing fractions, adding and subtracting fractions, and many more. Let's start the lesson. Now, there are two ways to conduct this lesson. One way is to use the tools of the app, cutting, coloring, and dragging. And alternatively, you can use the lesson more as a presentation and simply flip through the pages. Here, for example, on the next page, we first divided the pizza into 4 equal slices. Let's go back. This tutorial will use the tools, but remember, you have the option of simply flipping through the pages. The first task is fairly straightforward. We wish to divide the pizza equally between these 4 kids. So we click the scissors with the number 4, and then click the pizza. We ask the students, what is the name of the pieces? And of course the answer is 1/4. Now we can give each kid a 4th. So we'll color each 4th with the color of the hair of the child. So let's go ahead and click the red, and then this 4th, purple, and here, blue, and here, and then green for this girl. And we can use the scribble tool to write out this fraction, 1/4. The next thing we do, and remember, this also appears in the next pages if you proceed with them, is to click the scissors with the number 3, and then click this 4th. So the 4th is now divided into 3. Now, the question is this. We know this is a 4th, but now it's divided into 3. And the question is, 3 what? What is each of these parts? We can write the question like this. 1/4 equals 3 divided by what? Now this is the time for a class discussion. Listen to the different answers that the students give. For example, some students may count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and so think that this is 3/6. The problem with the answer is that these 6 pieces are not all the same size. So we'll proceed now by putting the pieces back together. We abort the scribble mode and just drag this here, this piece here, and we can drag these pieces one by one, but we also have this drag mode, drag with friends. Now we can take all these together. If the students didn't give the correct answer yet, give them another hint by dividing another 4th into 3. After the students have some time to express their ideas, continue and cut these pieces into 3 as well. This can also be done with the aid of the keyboard. If you hold down the number 3 while clicking on the slice, it will be divided into 3. Now, while still holding down the number 3 on the keyboard, we click the last slice. And now we can finally clearly see what this piece actually is. We have 12 equal parts. This is one of them, and so it is a 12th. Let's put it back. And so we see that this 4th is made out of 3 of these 12ths. We can right-click to erase the scribble and write 12. So the end result of this little story is that we expanded the unit fraction of a 4th. Note that the goal of the lesson is not to explain the expansion of fractions right now in a technical fashion. That is, we're not going to emphasize that the 1 is multiplied by 3 and the 4 is also multiplied by 3. This is not the goal of the current lesson. It's not to develop technical expertise, but to deepen the students' understanding and base this understanding on the visualization of a circle model. As we mentioned in the beginning, instead of using the tools of the app as we did here, you can move through the pages. Here, the pizza is divided into 4, and each kid got a slice, which is a 4th of a pizza. Remember not to move too fast and hold class discussions. Next, we divided one of the fourths into 3 and asked what this part is. We'll go ahead and recombine it into a circle, slice the other 3/4, and we'll see the answer. And we continue. Here is a new pizza that is divided into 3 equal parts. The goal here is to go through the process again so the students get acquainted with this type of thinking. This time, each of the thirds will be divided into 5 parts. Instead of using the app tools, we'll save some time in this tutorial and just go ahead and move through the pages instead. And next, each kid gets a third of a pizza. We divide the blue third into 5 equal parts, and the question is, 1/3 is 5 of what? And we have the same type of question. We can ask this type of question with any unit fraction and in any way we would like to divide this unit fraction. The thirds will recombine into a circle. The remaining 2/3 were cut as well. And we see the answer. We continue. 1/5 is equal to 2 what? This is what we want the students to imagine when they encounter such a question. If this 1/5 is divided into 2, in order to have equal pieces, the other 5ths have to be divided into 2 as well. This can be done with this tool or by holding down the 2 on the keyboard and clicking a slice. On the next page, we see the solution. 1/5 is 2/10. And now it's time for the student worksheet. Here is the student worksheet. The students have to create expansions as in the examples we saw so far. 1/3 equals 3 what? Well, in order to figure it out, the students can add divisions to the other 2/3. Emphasize that this division does not have to be exact, and so the answer here is 9. Now, it's interesting to see when the students start using imagination and reasoning instead of physically drawing the division. Using their imagination, the student will realize, if I have 7 parts in this half, I will have 7 on the other half as well, and altogether 14 parts. And if the student does draw out this division, he or she might abandon this practice over here where it's more cumbersome, or maybe over here. This is an interesting point that can be brought up in the class discussion. In the next question, the students themselves decide on how they want to cut the half, the third or the fourth, so they invent and create a fraction expansion of their choice. Now we move back to the lesson to review the students' solutions. And here are the questions from the student worksheet. Hold the class discussion and call the students to the board to show their solutions. The scribble tool can be used or the tools from the app. After each question, the solution also appears. Next question. And here this half is divided into 7. So this one should be divided as well. We can do this with the keyboard, holding down the 7 and clicking to divide the other half into 7 as well. So there are 14 parts, 7 over 14. And the next question. Here we have 1/2 divided into 16, so the other one has to be divided the same way. We can do this with the scissors tool. Let's click it, and click the half, and we get a panel. This panel allows us to choose a division, so let's move it up to 16 and finalize the cut with this button. 16 plus 16 is 32. And we can see this in the solution. And now to the last question of this type. Instead of dividing, we can simply understand that this fourth will have 6 parts, and this will have 6 as well, and this as well, and together 24. And the solution is here. And we continue to the other type of question. Now we can invite different students to the board and each can demonstrate how he or she decided to cut the half. So one student could decide to cut the half into 5, and so get 5/10. We prepared more halves for the other students. The scissors tool enables you to cut the section into any number you want up to 30. We adjust the division over here. Remember to click here to finalize the cut. And 2 more pages with halves. And then thirds. And 4 pages for fourths. It's important to show that the same fraction has different names. And we prepared 1 more page to emphasize this. Ready for us to prepare visual representations for different names of a fourth. Here we have a regular 1/4. Here we have 2/8. And to represent this visually, we cut each fourth into 2 by clicking each slice while holding down the number 2. To show the 3/12, here we cut each fourth into 3, and here we do so into 4. Now, though this is the end of the lesson, we would like to make 1 more recommendation. We'll open a new page, and we recommend that in the first few minutes of future lessons, you can hold a short practice. So ask the students for a new name for a 7th. Bring a new pizza onto the screen. You can enlarge it with this button. And you can cut it into 7. You can color one of the 7ths in a different color and just drag it out. Ask one of the students how they would like to divide the 7th. So let's say they decided to divide it into 5 pieces. So we'll click the slice while the 5 key is down. So now the 7th equals 5 of what? Well, let's color the other pieces like this so we can distinguish them after we've cut them all into 5. We'll move out of color mode and cut them into 5. And so 1/7 is 5/35. We could also ask the students if they think of another name for 2/7. Now, in this visual representation, it means that we're looking at the 7th and another one. So instead of 5 parts, we have 10. And the total number is still 35. And what about 3/7? That would be adding just another 5, so we have 15/35. And so on. For the first 5 minutes of another lesson, you could demonstrate different names for an 1/8, or different names for the 2/5, and so on. This doesn't take a lot of time, and we believe it to be an important ingredient in the student's mental toolkit for dealing with fractions. Let's conclude. So, what did we learn? We learned how to expand unit fractions. And you can emphasize to the students that this is a foundation for many fraction operations. We hope you enjoy this lesson with your class. Thanks for watching.